Kevin Jonas's wife, Danielle, has opened up about a health struggle that changed the way she views her body and her life. It all started with something that seemed small: strands of hair on her pillow, more than she had ever noticed before. At first, Danielle Jonas thought it might just be stress or exhaustion catching up with her. As a wife, mother, and public figure constantly in the spotlight, she was used to a busy schedule. But soon, the hair loss became impossible to ignore. Each morning, she noticed more hair collecting in her brush and shower drain, and a quiet sense of fear began to grow. When Danielle finally decided to visit her doctor, she hoped for clear answers. Maybe a vitamin deficiency or a hormonal change. Instead, the explanation she received was both familiar and frustrating: anxiety. The doctor believed her symptoms were a physical response to mental or emotional stress. Danielle wanted to believe it, but something inside her told her this wasn't just in her head. She had always been in tune with her body, and this time it felt different. Weeks went by, and her condition didn't improve. The shedding continued, and Danielle began noticing subtle changes in her scalp: dryness, irritation, and a strange sensitivity that hadn't been there before. The emotional toll grew heavier. Losing her hair wasn't just about appearance. It felt like losing a part of her identity. Her confidence started to slip, and with it came sleepless nights filled with worry. Determined to find the truth, Danielle pushed for more tests. She wasn't satisfied with the simple label of anxiety. Eventually, her persistence led to a biopsy, a deeper look beneath the surface. What the doctors found would finally give her the answer she had been searching for. But it was one she never expected. After weeks of uncertainty and frustration, Danielle finally received the results of her biopsy, and with it, an unexpected revelation. The test confirmed that she wasn't battling stress or anxiety at all. Instead, she had Lyme disease, a bacterial infection caused by Borrelia burgdorferi. The news was both a relief and a shock. Relief, because she finally had a name for what was happening to her body. Shock, because she had no idea how or when she had been bitten by a tick. Lyme disease, as Danielle soon learned, is far more than just a simple infection. It's a complex illness that can linger quietly, mimicking other conditions and confusing even experienced doctors. According to the Mayo Clinic, the bacteria responsible for Lyme disease are transmitted through the bite of an infected Ixodes tick, tiny parasites so small that many people never notice being bitten. The symptoms can vary widely: fatigue, fever, joint pain, rashes, headaches, and even neurological issues. For Danielle, the diagnosis explained so much: the unexplained exhaustion, the skin inflammation, and especially the hair loss that had been haunting her for months. Suddenly, everything made sense. Yet, with answers came new fears. She realized this wasn't something that would disappear overnight. Managing Lyme disease would mean ongoing treatment, lifestyle adjustments, and emotional resilience. Still, knowing the truth brought her a sense of empowerment. After weeks of being told it was just anxiety, Danielle finally felt validated. Her instincts had been right all along. Her body had been trying to tell her something deeper, and now she was ready to listen. With the diagnosis confirmed, Danielle Jonas entered a new chapter of her life, one defined by both clarity and challenge. Knowing she had Lyme disease brought a strange mix of comfort and fear. At least now she knew what was happening, but she also understood that this illness wasn't something that could be fixed overnight. Each day became a careful balancing act between treatment, recovery, and maintaining her sense of normalcy. The physical symptoms were relentless. Danielle developed eczema on her scalp, an inflammatory response caused by her body's ongoing fight against infection. Her scalp felt tender and irritated, and the hair loss grew worse. Every strand that fell reminded her of the invisible battle taking place inside her body, What had started as a medical issue soon turned into an emotional struggle. Looking in the mirror became difficult. Her hair had always been part of her confidence, her identity. Now it was slipping away. Trying to regain control, Danielle experimented with hair extensions, hoping to restore her appearance and self-esteem. But instead of helping, the extensions aggravated her scalp, worsening the eczema and leaving her in more discomfort. It was so hard, she admitted later. I wanted to look like myself again, especially when I had to go out with Kevin. Despite the frustration, Danielle refused to let the disease define her. She learned to adapt, using gentle products, giving her scalp time to heal, and embracing self-care as an act of strength rather than vanity. Some days were better than others, but through it all, she found small victories in learning to accept her changing body. Living with Lyme disease wasn't easy, but Danielle discovered that healing was as much about self-compassion as it was about medicine. As Danielle navigated the emotional and physical challenges of Lyme disease, her family became her anchor. Her husband, Kevin Jonas, stood by her side through every appointment, flare-up, and sleepless night. Their marriage, which began in 2009 at the fairy tale-like Ohaka Castle in New York, had always been strong, but this experience tested their bond in new ways. Kevin's steady presence reminded Danielle that she wasn't facing the battle alone. Even when she felt fragile or insecure, he reminded her of her strength. Their two daughters, Elena and Valentina, also played a big role in her recovery. At just 11 and 8, they were still too young to fully understand Lyme disease, but they could sense when their mom wasn't feeling well. Danielle made a conscious choice to be honest with them in simple ways, turning her struggle into a lesson in empathy and resilience. They saw everything I went through, she later shared. So when their eczema flares up, I tell them, this will pass. Her own experience with eczema helped her guide her daughters through their skin issues. She knew the frustration, the discomfort, and the self-consciousness that came with it. Instead of hiding her condition, she used it to teach them compassion for themselves and for others. Even amid her health battles, Danielle continued to show up at family outings, events, and public appearances, determined not to let her illness steal her joy. Her family's love became her medicine. Each hug from her daughters, each reassuring word from Kevin, reminded her that healing wasn't just about the body. It was about the heart, too. Through her journey with Lyme disease, Danielle Jonas discovered that healing is not a straight line. It's a process that requires patience, acceptance, and deep self-awareness. After months of physical symptoms and emotional ups and downs, she began to find strength in small routines and mindful self-care. Her approach to health shifted from trying to control every symptom to learning how to live gently with her body's limitations. Danielle also became more intentional about teaching her daughters the same lessons. Both Elena and Valentina struggled at times with eczema and other skin sensitivities, and Danielle used her own experience to guide them. She encouraged them to keep their skincare simple and consistent, focusing on cleanliness, moisture, and gentle products, rather than the trending routines popular among their peers. I had to reel Elena back in a little bit, Danielle admitted with a smile. She wants to have fun with all the new products, but I always ask her, do you want to flare up, or do you want to get it under control? That usually brings her back down. From her illness, Danielle learned a profound truth. Self-care isn't about vanity. It's about respect for your body, your health, and your well-being. Lyme disease had tested her confidence, patience, and endurance, but it had also given her clarity. It reminded her to listen closely to her body and to trust her instincts, even when others dismissed her symptoms. Now, as she continues to manage her health, Danielle chooses to share her story openly, not for sympathy, but to raise awareness. Her experience stands as a reminder that behind every smile, there can be an unseen battle, and that strength often begins with simply refusing to give up on yourself.